start our normal routine, I would like to take a point of personal privilege and mention the name of Doris Hayes, who was a person that was a longtime resident here. And 9 and a half years ago, she got a letter from Bill Hiller, who's also a resident, for those of you who are new and are not familiar with these names. And I want to read you a portion of that letter. Doris, according to my quick count, now this was in 2011, there are 102 residents who have joined this community since the end of May 29, 24 months ago. Those are 102 people who are still in the process of making the transition to feeling that campus is home. I recommend your committee, she was chairman of the welcoming committee, consider the creation of CINC, a campus-inspired newcomers club. Okay, you can come up with a better name if you want to. I would envision it being a resident-led club meeting monthly with coffee and sweet rolls, with old-timers, as well as new residents who would then be introduced to the community and would give them an opportunity and you an opportunity to meet and greet personally the new residents on our campus and help them feel at home. How does the adage go? If you want something done, ask a busy person. And you're the perfect person to initiate such an effort. And Elaine Smith, who was then on the staff here, would be a perfect person from the staff to help make this effort work. I'm really excited about the success that I know that you will have in this project. Doris meant a whole lot to a lot of people. She loved people. She exhibited a lot of friendship and just enjoyed being with people. She had a running dialogue with a lot of residents, always showing a spirit of acceptance to old and to new. Doris and I had a great dialogue covering several years about our love for music. She talked about the old Baptist hymns and the old Baptist hymns, and she loved to tell me that. And I told her that they were not exclusive to the Baptist church. And she could get her back up, and the hair would start standing. I never told her which denomination formed first in our country. But we both loved music, and we both loved to sing. I want to share with you, if I can, one of her favorite hymns and one of mine. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Amen. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, you have watched over us all the years of our lives and will continue to watch with us in our new life to come. We give you thanks for Doris Hayes, for her love of music, her willingness to help others, and her insistence of helping new residents at Westminster Woods to find their rightful place in our community. It's been our privilege to know her, and we would ask that as she has come into your presence, that she will continue to know peace and rest into your presence. We thank you, O God. Amen. Okay, we have some new members that I want to introduce. Right? And Dan, where are you at? Come here. You're here. Dan's a new member. Come on. He's not really a new member, but he has a new wife, and she's here. Jane, come on. And I want you to be next to him, because if you get ready to punch somebody out, I want it to be him and not me.
I'm going to pay for this, you know. I'm going to pay for this.
Okay. Yeah. Just tell us your name.
Jane.
Did you get that? Jane. Okay. And you all have been married how long?
4 months.
July, August, September, October, November, December. 6 months.
6 months.
It just seems like 4 months.
And you had an outstanding preacher that performed the service for you. And who would that be?
I don't remember.
Go sit down, Jane.
He was a remarkable singer, I will tell you that.
I know I'm supposed to have my mask on, but I won't get that close. Jane, we're glad you're in our community and appreciate you and are delighted that you are here to take this man to the next level of greatness. Good. Jane McKee. Okay, you can sit down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, set her home. Can you come up this way, or I can come to you a little bit?
Well, he can't be seen on the camera.
Why?
The camera can follow.
They got a good picture of his backside right now. Okay, Chuck, did I pronounce your last name right?
Sure did.
I did?
You sure did.
Okay, and how long have you been a resident here at Westminster Woods?
Since the 1st of October.
Oh, okay, welcome. So you're one of our COVID entrances. And you came from where? Well, I know the stork brought you in originally, but where did you come from when you moved here?
Last apartment was in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, that's good. And what was it that you did that made you a success in life?
Married my wife.
Do we need any more from this guy? Any family anywhere?
Oh, it's all over the country. I've got a daughter here and a son in Grand Rapids and a son in South Florida and a daughter out in California.
So you're part of the United States of America, right? Good.
Absolutely.
Good. And you live where here on the campus?
In Dogwood.
Dogwood. Chuck, we're glad to have you, and all these folks will be looking forward to getting to know you, and you can get to know us too.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please. I don't want to have to take him out, but you know I will.
Okay, I'd like to call on for dinner. Is he here today? Where? Yeah, that's better, yeah. They don't like my stuff.
I'm sorry, we just have to.
Who is our speaker next month, Charlie? It's not going to be Pam, is it? I have a couple of other names on here. I'm not sure if you're here.
You just need food in your hand, then you don't have to wear it.
Now I'm fogged up and I don't know where I am. Bill and Carol Berger? Yeah, are y'all here?
Yeah, we're here, but we did this last.
That's right. You did it when the joke teller was here, right? Okay. Mary Jo Bryan? Don't say Mary? Is that it? Okay, we're through. That's all our new members. No, I wouldn't dare miss this next part. In addition to new members, we like to provide for you all, for those of us who've been here, as a friendly reminder, and for those of you who are new, to kind of figure out who's doing what on the campus. I have a resume of our speaker today. She sent me 14 pages, and I'm only going to read one paragraph. You don't have a microphone, hush. All right, now in August, Pam Benfer will be celebrating how many years as our Director of Volunteers? 14 years. In addition to this, position that she holds, she serves on the Resident Engagement Team, MyW Life, and Social Media Committees. A graduate of Virginia Tech with a degree in sociology, holds a master's degree in education from the Citadel. Did you wear the uniform? No. Okay. She's been a volunteer in Duval County Public Schools, Boy Scouts of America, Special Olympics, and many other things. Married, has 2 sons. I'm sure she'll mention them today. And she has been busy on our campus, is the person to go to if you have a question you can't get it answered, because she is a plethora. You know that word? Plethora. She's just got all kinds of information, and is more importantly in her life is to see how she can help the rest of us become volunteers in various aspects of what's going on here at Westminster and in our community. So with further ado, here comes the masked lady.
Can everybody hear me? I am sorry about being the masked police, but you know, we just all have to take care of each other, and that's one of the ways that we're doing that right now. So thank you for being so compliant, Dwight.
Yes.
Eventually. Man, you must have given your mother a hard time.
I did.
So, and I do appreciate the introduction, and as most of you who've known me for more than a few minutes know that I am very proud of my children. They are not children any longer. They are 21 and almost 26 years old. My 21-year-old, if you'll say a prayer for him, he has left us this morning to drive up to Virginia to see my other son and my parents. We're going to go up there in a couple of weeks, but he's doing that drive 800 miles today on his own. So I'm not worried about his driving, but you know about those other people are out there. So keep him in your thoughts. Both of my boys have volunteered here over their upbringing because that's the way my grandmother and my mother taught me, so that's what I did to them. Prior to me working here, we came as part of the Cub Scout group. I have many memories of, you know, we all do crazy things for our children. My husband and I came out of this door right behind here in crazy costumes and did a skit about collecting things. I was a collector of dust. So my lifetime here with Westminster goes way back. I think Davis was 6 months old the first time we came to a spring fling, and about a year old when he came to his first fall festival. And that's way before I started coming over here as a paid employee. And I do want to make that clear, because some people think, oh, you're the director of volunteers, you're a volunteer. No, I am happily employed here and grateful for that. You can imagine that since March, my role has changed. On March the 13th, we said, that's it, we have to cut off everybody, all of the volunteers. So I had to make several phone calls to people who were very understanding, but very concerned and very disappointed to be losing their connections with the community. Those were our outside volunteers. Those of you that are resident volunteers, it impacted you even greater, because I know how important it is to each of you to not just enjoy the amenities that are here, but to create more, just like Dwight talked about this morning with this event. That came from a resident initiative, and those have been traditionally our most successful things that have come from your ideas that we as staff members have the pleasure and privilege of supporting in all kinds of different ways, whether that's from helping get an article into the Chimes or make copies for different things, to be here to help host, to work with catering, all of those kinds of things to make sure that you're set up to be successful. Because we want you to continue to feel like you are engaged in a purposeful way. And to me, that's been probably the hardest thing during this last several months, is to try to figure out how we can still do that in a safe way. So just kind of reflecting, as we tend to do this time of the year. I think December, as we come to the end of the year, it's hard not to look back and remember what it was like before March. And for our campus newcomers, I did want to say there were about 200 independent resident volunteers, several hundred from the outside community. We would usually have 800 to 1,000 Christmas carolers here every December, 75 teenagers in the summertime, opportunities for residents to serve on every committee and every department. Yes, even housekeeping, believe it or not, if John would let you. So it's just, all of those opportunities have been there. They're going to come back. I'm sure of that. What that's going to look like, none of us really know. So during the past several months, we've been able to bring back the country store volunteers, our boutique volunteers. The library has been able to function this entire time, which has been fabulous. And then many of you as residents, because you are as strong independent people, just went ahead and did things on your own. And I say good for you, because we all have to figure it out. Making our own choices with the level of risks that we're willing to take and trying to do that in a safe way. So there are people who have been driving trams, delivering prescriptions, delivering the mail when all of those kinds of things ceased. Helping us behind the scenes back in the back with our cameras, Zooming. Have you ever heard of Zoom before March? I know I hadn't. So there's just been, it just goes on, and many of the residents have participated as pen pals with people in our health center and in assisted living, making those additional phone calls, just trying to figure out how we can still be connected. So if you're thinking about that coming into the new year, about how you can be more connected here, my office, for those of you that don't know, is over here in the Lifestyle Resource Building. That those front doors are locked, but you can always come around the back door. And they always say those back door friends are the best ones anyway. So don't feel like you can't come to see us and to talk about how you can contribute to the campus, okay? I did have some talking points, so I'm going to refer to them. Let's see, what else have I been doing during this time? If you ordered dinner, you've seen me deliver your dinner to you, and that's been something that people thought, what in the world are you doing? But you know, it's been really a fun thing to do. The people that I had not been really coming back out, I'm able to see those folks. I think David thinks I take a very long time delivering, and he's right, because, you know, I just can't help myself. I will have a question of the day, or, what brought a smile to your face today, those kinds of things, because we just have those moments, so take advantage of those. Let's see, I have also been a gatekeeper. You think I'm tough with the mask out here. So I have done my time before we had security sitting out at the front gate. I have helped with different administration tasks, both in the health center and now helping human resources. When you think about the amount of COVID testing that's going on this campus, it doesn't just happen by itself, and we have to track all of that. And no, we're not adding that as a volunteer opportunity anytime during any of this. There's just no way we would offer you that. Let's see. I have called bingo. Yep, Elaine Smith would be so proud of me. Those of you that remember Elaine, just my goodness. And everybody that corrects us all the time on, in that game you don't call a B or an O, and what's the first one you call? A B or an O, because that's just what you do, and then everybody yells at you. Let's see. Those of you that are connected with My W Life, that should be everybody in here, and if you're not, that's something you can call me about as well. During this time, we have really tried to enhance that through the virtual experiences folder. And so while Laura's been doing everything you're seeing on your TVs at 3 and at 7, most of the other things that are back there in that other folder are things that I've been doing, just making sure that we're still offering things on each of the dimensions of wellness. There's a lot of things in the lifelong learning. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at that, so many online classes and different things that you can do. And if you come along something, I would love it if you would share those, because we're not capturing everything. I'm back to teaching my technology class. For several years, we did an iPad class. Now this is just tech tips. So as we're all trying to have to mitigate Zoom and Google Duo and Jitsi and Facebook and FaceTime and Messenger and so just all of those different things, ordering groceries and all of that. So that class actually is coming up this Monday, and you do need to sign up for that so that we can keep our numbers right. But if it's something you've been thinking about, this time we're going to be talking about Facebook, and including how to delete your Facebook account if you just really think it's a little too much at this point. So, we're not all about pushing you forward in directions that you don't want to go. The other things that I'm trying to do is continue to have ways for our community volunteers to be connected with us. If you watched the Veterans Day program, you've noticed that actually Amanda and Mike Birch's son's Boy Scout troop did the flag ceremony for us. They came one evening out front and used our flag, which I thought was wonderful because they were initially going to do that just at their own location. But what a nice touch to see them here on the campus. We also had a couple of our teen volunteers that recorded a song or two that was a part of that. Currently, we have outside groups that are getting our luminary bags ready. As believe it or not, there's going to be about 1,000 of those bags. So it's going to be a beautiful night. That's the 21st. So they are folding the tops down so that they will stand up nicely, and then we'll be working with people to get those set out. That's something that you all can do, okay? So if you're thinking about what could I do now, because we don't want to wait. We're tired of waiting. We're just tired of waiting. So the things that you can do now are things like helping with the luminary, setting up things. You can help on all of the resident council committees are back into their meetings. So there may be something that you may not be going to the meeting that you really want to do, but if you know somebody who's on the committee and they mention that, hey, we're working on this project, maybe working with them on that project behind the scenes is something you would rather do than go to a monthly meeting. Because I get it, we all went to those for years, right? So committees aren't for everybody, but the work that those committees do, they may speak out to you. Leslie has got her Vespers services going, and she can always use an extra hand with greeting and those kinds of things. So reach out to her if there's something that you feel called to spiritually. Making calls to people in our health center, assisted living, other independent friends that sometimes we're not as independent as we think we are, and would welcome that extra little TLC. The other thing that's coming, and this was in the Chimes this past month, is for a long time we've been working with students over at Hickory Creek Elementary. And if they remember, they would invite us to come to a Thanksgiving dinner. And they were so disappointed that they weren't able to do that this year, but they would love it if we would have residents record the reading of children's books, and then we'll share it with them. And then hopefully we'll be able to, even if it's through a Zoom call or something, to be able to have some interaction with those students, because I'm missing those little faces. I don't know about you guys. I tell you, after all those years of being here every night in December with carolers, I thought, oh, I'm not going to miss that this year. But I do, I miss it. So it's going to be an interesting time to see how we can make things come back. Let's see, what else is going on? Well, I guess we're just about it. We are getting ready to welcome back the Access program, which is why Dan is here, and I'm sure Dwight has a lovely introduction for him. Or maybe the one that we can hear. So they go way back. And that's another one of our programs that's been completely resident initiated. So if you've got something in your brain that you haven't seen here, that you're wondering, why don't we? Or have you ever? Know that we're welcome to those ideas. I'm telling you, you guys have better ideas than I do. And it's just always fun to see just the different roads and routes and paths that they take. The speed bumps sometimes, but as you've seen, I can be kind of pushy when I need to be. So working with people and helping to coerce people sometimes, we have a way of making things work. Are there questions that any of you all have for me? And if so, you need to go to Ray, correct? He's got the microphone.
I just want to recommend, I'm Susan Letizia. I live in Southwood, 68A, right by the gate. So that's where my house is. And just want to thank you so much for the tech tips. For some of us that are really slow, even just on our telephone, you're really big help. And I want to say something that to everybody that's new is please go to Pam and get your picture on your profile. That really helps us if we say, oh, who was that? Have a picture on your profile. And you know exactly how to do that. It's not hard. And so that would, everybody in the room, it would really help the rest of us get to know you better. And of course, filling it out about your hobbies and your interests is a good thing too. But I just recommend the pictures so much. So.
Oh, thank you, Susan. And especially now when, and it's like, are your eyes smiling back there? So yes, thank you so much for that, Susan. I see Elizabeth coming up from the side over there.
Do we take a picture with our mask on or off?
You need to have it on.
Since we're talking about volunteering, and we are broadcasting to our entire community, I want to take advantage of Pam's presence here to make everyone aware that come February, March, we're having elections for the Residents' Council. That is your opportunity to share how your neighbors feel, what they think needs to be done, everything between residents and management. We have 5 openings coming up, 3 from the Garden Apartments, 1 from Southwood. No, I'm sorry, Magnolia North Point. and one from Eastwood, Creekside. This is your opportunity to share your concerns and your neighbors' concerns with management. It's your opportunity to do something for your community. So taking advantage of Pam being here and talking about volunteerism, we need you. Please consider running for Residents' Council. Thank you.
Who counts the votes? Oh my goodness. I thought we could avoid that. That's a really good point, Elizabeth. And you know, one of the things when I first started working here and I would do tours with our outside volunteers from the community, and I would mention all of the different things that you all do, you know, some people would say, oh, well, that's just so cute that they want to help. It's not cute. You know, I mean, you all are adorable, but come on. You know, this campus would not be what it is today without each and every one of you. And everyone has something to give. So don't let it be like a big, like, I am the person representing all of Eastwood. Don't let that be intimidating. Because I think that as you have seen, or those of you who have served in those positions, it's an opportunity for you to get to know your neighbors, to share their concerns, and to push different things forward, whether that's dining or something fitness related or what have you. So there's just so many different ways that you can help. And I know you've all got hidden talents out there just waiting to be revealed. I think that's it from me,
Other
sir.
questions? Let me just say one thing. And I know it's hard for you to believe this, but I sincerely believe if something happened to the whole administration, the one person we need to keep is this one. Now you may sit.
Thank you.
Now, boy, are we in for a thrill. Our next speaker, and we do this periodically, we have one of our residents share with new residents and the rest of us something of interest or something that that person has been involved in. And today, Dan Reckla is here to speak to us. He is a Pennsylvanian, a graduate of Catholic University of America, a career in public school teaching, and was a football coach. He has served various church-related activities, and he moved to Florida 35 years ago. Retired as a corporate vice president of human resources and labor relations for an international company that's based here in Jacksonville. He's been a volunteer with Community Hospice and Palliative Care, which is also headquartered here in Jacksonville. He first moved in here, was one of the first residents to move into North Point, and then later he moved over to Southwood. He has been active in this community. He has served on the council, Residents' Council, and even has served as president of the Residents' Council. Recently, I say recently, it's been over a year ago, Dan and myself and Pam and Amanda Birch sat down to create an opportunity for all of the residents. It's a program we named Access, and Dan's going to come and talk to you about that. And Dan, we're supposed to be done by 2:30, kickoff time, okay? Is that enough time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can do that. It's been actually 4 months and almost 3 weeks. And the officiant for our wedding was none other than the Reverend Dr. Dwight Bailey. So there.
And what a good time we had.
Oh, we did. The Access program started roughly 2 years ago, this month, I think, or at least it was announced. And we had a good year last year. We had a lot of speakers, a lot of presentations, a lot of participation, and then COVID hit. So 2020 was not a good year for programs like Access. However, we are already plotting and scheming and putting together plans for this coming year's programs. And I know many people in here probably are aware of or have attended the programs a couple of years ago, but if you're like me, you've slept since then, so it'll all be new to me anyway when we do it. If you did not pick up one of these pamphlets, we have them back there, and they're available if anybody wants it, but it's called Your Book of Life. The ultimate chapter, and it's a way of talking about how we plan our life and how we write our life story, and every story has a final ending. So what a cheerful idea that on a beautiful Saturday morning your speaker is going to talk about dying. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to give everybody a quiz. Now, you don't have to actually raise your hand. But mentally, you might want to either raise your hand or answer yes or no to some of these questions. You know, the problem with a mask and glasses, I'm seeing you through a fog. Now I'm seeing you through completely blurry vision, but at least I can read this thing now. Here's a little quiz, and for the people who've attended the program in the past, I know you'll know all these answers, and for the new folks, it'll give you an idea what our program is all about. Do you have a will? Has it been reviewed within the past 2 years? Has it been updated? In that will, you've probably named people who are beneficiaries of various things. Are they all still there? Do you need to change anything? What's the difference between a will and a living will? I'm not going to answer that. You have to come to the program. Let's see, everybody, of course, will have an estate that has to be taken care of when they die, and an estate is not the same as a trust. So for many people, you have a trust, and the trick about that is you have to fund the trust with stuff from your estate. Do you have someone who's designated to handle that estate or that trust when you die? And oh, by the way, do they know that you've designated them? I've seen it and I've heard it from attorneys, from funeral planners, from people who say the person didn't know he or she was supposed to be the person in charge of the estate. One of the guiding principles of the Access program is what you do matters. What you don't do matters. And what we're trying to do is avoid a situation where your survivors, your children, your relatives, whoever, aren't caught by surprise, either because we did nothing or they didn't know what we did. So that's part of the quiz. Funeral planning. You know, what a terrible subject to think about. But you know what? If you don't plan it, ain't nobody else going to do it. So, have you planned for a funeral? You can even pay for it ahead of time. That's what we did. It worked. One of the big topics we covered in the Access program was a thing called Advanced Healthcare Directives. It was also called Honoring Choices. And again, if you attended the program, you'll know about this, but for new folks, it asks questions like, who do you want to make decisions for you when you are no longer able to make those decisions? Do you have someone who can express your wishes and make decisions that need to be made at a time when you're no longer able to make them. Advanced healthcare planning. Oh, excuse me. In many cases, a person who is of a particular religious persuasion should be talking with their religious leader about what kind of program or religious activity they want. Family. You can create an estate, you can create a trust, you can plan for your funeral, you can do all kinds of things ahead of time. It's really helpful if you tell your family what you've done and tell them where are the files, where are the records, where are the passwords that get you into your account. I can tell you from personal experience, it's a terrible thing to have to guess people's passwords. Are you now, or do you anticipate being sometime in the future, a caregiver for someone who is facing that final chapter? There are resources that are available for people. There's a group called the Caregivers Coalition here in North Florida that I've been a part of, and it's a wonderful opportunity to understand what being a caregiver means and what you need to do. And finally, what do you know about hospice and hospice care? Dwight mentioned I've been a volunteer with hospice for, 8 or 9 years, I guess now. And I am always struck by the breadth of things that they can do for families who are facing the death of a loved one. They also have a process called palliative care. And palliative care simply means you're not necessarily in that process of dying, but you do have a condition that severely limits your ability to get along. And they provide palliative care for that. Everything I've just talked about is going to be part of the 2022-21 Access program. Again, for folks who haven't heard this before, we're bringing back some of our more effective speakers and programs. They'll come from hospice. We will have an elder law attorney come in and talk to us. We will have a funeral planner come in and talk about options that you have. We will have several speakers from hospice who will come in and talk about healthcare directives. In fact, the first program we have will probably be challenging choices, which has to do with how do you want to be treated when you can no longer express your wishes? Under what conditions do you want nourishment? Etc. All kinds of really tough choices. So we're going to have speakers come in and talk about all that. We will have a life insurance representative come in and talk about life insurance issues. These are all things that you're going to have to address, or the people who are left after you die will have to deal with. Obviously, I would rather arrange things the way I want them arranged, not have to rely on my kids to figure out what would Dad want. And that's what the Access program is about. If you read that paper, the bottom line is we want everyone to have the information and the support they need to be able to deal with and anticipate their own death or the death of a loved one. And it's not a topic you get to hear a whole lot about, and we're in a continuing care retirement community. We have programs for yoga and dancing and water stuff and healthy living, and that's great. But the one thing that we need in a community like this is this kind of program. How do we write that final chapter. And if you have any questions about anything I've said, if you want to talk about anything, especially if it's of a more personal nature, I'll be happy to talk with you after the session. Any questions for right now that are more general, we can deal with. Otherwise,
Dan, let me mention one thing before you get to Charlie. One of the very effective programs we've had recently, last year, as we approach holiday seasons, as we are now, Thanksgiving and Christmas and special days in the life of you or your loved one, birthdays, anniversaries, and that person's no longer here to celebrate with you. How do we, as, quote, single individuals, deal with the trauma and the pain and the hurt that's there? And especially right now, when none of us can go visit our grandchildren. And I've heard already 3 people in this room today mention how sad it is that they can't be with their family during Christmas. I got good news for you. We're family, and you can be with us.
I can't add anything to that. He's absolutely right. So, as we move forward, Charlie, if you have, use the microphone, please. I'm sorry, I'm looking at you through blurry vision here. I can't see who you...
When do you anticipate the first meeting? January, you're talking about something like that?
Charlie is asking when we anticipate the first meeting. Boy, I wish I knew. Obviously, it depends so much on so many other things. What I can tell you is we are organizing it now. It's going to be on that subject of challenging choices. We're also in the process of contacting speakers, and they too have limitations as to what they can do. Excuse me. So I can't tell you an exact date. I would love to be able to say in the January, February timeframe, that's what I'd like to do, but it depends on a bunch of other things as well. Normally, this is like every month, this program. Okay. Finally, if anything we've talked about in here is of interest to you, if you go on My W Life and you go into the all the icons in the menu, you'll find the Access icon. Speakers we had in 2019 are on there. A lot of the presentations, a lot of the handouts, they're there. And if you happen to be a YouTuber, you can actually go on YouTube and WWJC Access, and you'll see those speakers as well. So, if there aren't any other questions, thank you for your attention.
Good. Thank you, Dan. And don't hesitate to contact Dan or myself or Pam if there are questions or ideas that you have that you think would be helpful, not only for you but for others. And remember to pick up that little brochure. It's on the back table. Charlotte's got them in her hand as you leave. And go in peace. Merry Christmas.